Welcome to That's Good Broncos. I am Brandon Perna, the only unofficial football anchor to announce that the Broncos have indeed hired a new head coach before the Broncos announced that they have indeed hired a new head coach. And the man they have hired or will hire is Vance Johnson. I, of course, mean Vance Joseph. That's the correct answer. I hate to say this, but the Broncos based this decision by simply picking the best-looking coaching candidate. If you think looks don't matter or vanity is fruitless in the NFL, you're wrong. That's good, Broncos. I'm shooting this video at 12:30 Mountain Time before the Broncos announce who the head coach is because, that's right, I'm beholden to no journalistic integrity. I'm a lone wolf in the sports media landscape, except I'm not paid millions of dollars when I say stupid shit or report false information. Boy, I'm really winning this one, aren't I? This episode is sponsored by CWHemp.com. Use the promo code ThatsGood for 10% off of your order. The Broncos have a fresh new coach, and you might want a fresh new way to feel. Try Charlotte's Web hemp oil for anxiety, inflammation, and to help you sleep better. I've used it for my fucked up, inflamed back when it goes out, and it made a huge difference for me. Let's start with the probable bad news. Wade Phillips is almost certainly gone. It looks like he may end up in Los Angeles if the Rams hire Washington's offensive coordinator Sean McVay as their head coach. That could change. The good news is Wade would not be in the AFC and not tearing our hearts out in Oakland/Las Vegas. Joe Woods is likely to become the defensive coordinator, which is a good move, and the OC is up in the air. Unless, of course, both of those things are wrong. Wait. I have breaking news from Vic Lombardi on who the offensive coordinator will be. Let's go to Vic live.
We're actually discussing our Doug Moe documentary. This has nothing to do with the Broncos coaching search. In fact, the Broncos may have already made it affirmed and confirmed. They hired Vance Joseph. We don't know because we're talking about Doug Moe.
That's true.
That's right. You heard it here first. Doug Moe to be the Broncos' new offensive coordinator per source. How will anyone in the NFL stop an NBA run-and-gun offense? Answer, they won't be able to. The Broncos interviewed 3 coaches, Kansas City special teams coordinator Dave Toub, Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, and Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. I, and I alone, have scraped together audio sound bites from all 3 coaches' interviews. Yes, I have Dub Valley tapped like a keg. Not like an ass. I personally never learned how to actually tap that ass.
We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
What's the matter with you? Next time I tell you to do something, goddammit, you do it or else you're off this team.
You go out there, you tear their fucking heads off, and you shit down their necks. Let us pray.
Ultimately, it was the enthusiasm that won Vance Joseph the job. Elway stated, and I quote, "In 2015, my motto was kicking and screaming. In 2017, it's the tear their fucking heads off and shit down their necks mentality. I wanted to find a leader who could convince our talented roster that it is okay to metaphorically kill and defecate on the opposition. Coming from me, the Duke of Denver, John Elway. Good for you, bud. 2017. With that being said, let me tell you why I believe Vance Joseph got the job, and not the fan favorite Kyle Shanahan. Change and leadership. The Broncos just spent the last 2 seasons with a head coach who built the offensive game plan and called the offensive plays on top of all of his head coaching responsibilities. John Elway was legitimately worried about Kubiak's health and concerned about the toll that responsibility was having on Kubiak. I believe John and the brass didn't want to bring in another head coach that would be tasked with being a head coach and offensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan would have hired a pseudo-coordinator, someone to fill the same role that Rick Dennison occupied. He would have run a similar offense, he would have called the plays, built the game plan, and he would have brought in some of the same offensive philosophies. In hiring Vance Joseph, I think the Broncos make a conscious decision to change, and I think many of us would agree change is needed. We are now left wondering how will Vance implement those changes via his coaching staff, specifically the offensive line, quarterback development, and offensive scheme. The second deciding factor, in my opinion, is leadership. This is not a knock on Kyle Shanahan, and I'm not saying he isn't a good leader, but I have to believe that John Elway and company feel that Vance Joseph is the most ready to be the guy that players rally behind. That's why he's a hot name now for multiple teams across the league. Players like playing for him, players respect him, and he knows how to communicate to players and other coaches. On a team with many big personalities, I think John Elway believes Vance is the guy who can walk into that locker room from day one and command respect from the group. Elway tweeted after all 3 coaching interviews. Some of you spent way too much time trying to decode the tweets. All were positive and tipped his hat in no real direction. A much more telling tweet from Elway is what he tweeted after he accidentally took a sip of someone's iced tea in the owner's box instead of his Glenfiddich scotch. Accidentally drank tea today. Tastes like an ashtray had sex with lemons and they aborted their flavors in my mouth. Drink scotch, #tea sucks. You can't make tweets like that up. I personally love tea, which makes that tweet hard for me to digest. I will say it's an embarrassment as a Broncos fan to see Elway doesn't even have 1 million followers on Twitter. Sometimes as a fan base, I think we are better than we really are. That's lazy to not have 1 million followers for John Elway. Are you kidding me? Speaking of Twitter, I've seen many of you pretty upset about the Vance Joseph hire. Why? Just admit that none of us really know jack shit about any of the coaching candidates. You don't know who the fuck Vance Joseph is. You don't know who the hell Kyle Shanahan is. And you definitely don't know who Dave Toub is. We were pulling for Kyle because we all have a relationship with his father. Not a real relationship, but we feel like we do. We are loyal like that. The only thing we really know is that Kyle Shanahan turned the Falcons offense into one of the best in the NFL over a 2-year span, and he made the Browns offense work for a short time with Brian Hoyer when he was there. That's pretty impressive. He deserves a lot of credit for that, especially the improvement of the offensive line in Atlanta and the running back production. But let's be honest, Julio Jones was already there, Matt Ryan was already there, Devonta Freeman was already there. Kyle walked into a very good offensive situation. Of course, he helped it drafting Tevin Coleman and getting Alex Mack at center for that line. My point is, rarely does one man fix everything on a team. The exceptions are Peyton Manning, Bill Belichick, and maybe the most powerful, Josh McDaniels. He of course fixed nothing but broke everything. He fucking just torched the whole fucking place down. Now, if I'm being honest, I think I was pulling for Kyle Shanahan as well. And it's because of my loyalty to the Shanahan name on top of how impressive Atlanta's offense has been this season. I also wanted the Broncos to hire Vance Joseph 2 years ago for the defensive coordinator position, but they landed Wade Phillips instead. And now, I don't want Wade Phillips to leave. I trust this hire of Vance Joseph for one very important reason. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when evaluating head coaching hires. Just look at what I said after Gary Kubiak was hired. It would be like if Manning drove a Mercedes his whole life and Kubiak drove a BMW his whole life and they attempted to go on a road trip together but couldn't figure out how to start the car because it was a Tesla. If Manning comes back, I'm gonna guess that the offense may actually improve. I looked stunning, but was dead wrong. Manning and Kubiak ditched their luxury cars and did in fact drive a Geo Metro convertible through the NFL season, but still won a Super Bowl behind the best defense we've ever seen in Denver. Would that defense have happened with Vance Joseph? I don't know, but I wanted him to be the D coordinator. Now I think I'm happy he'll be the head coach. Before Vance Joseph was probably hired today, there were 5 head coaching vacancies, and Vance was asked to interview for every single one. Elway did not allow that to happen. And I think a lot can be said for a guy who is highly touted across the league despite what little we know about him. We won't know if Vance is a good or bad hire for another year or two. I will say nobody knew who Bill Belichick was when he was hired. Nobody here really knew who Mike Shanahan was when he was hired. We all loved the McDaniels hire at the time. Like the NFL draft, trying to find a new head coach is a guess. And to guess, like the jeans, means sometimes you pay way too much money for a pair and they don't even fit. And sometimes you buy a pair with flower embroidery on them thinking you're gonna only wear them once to a sock hop, but you find they mold to your oddly shaped legs better than all of your other jeans, and you end up wearing them every single day until you accidentally leave them in a hotel room in Milwaukee. Let's hope the guess on Vance fits the team perfectly. If he does fit, I guarantee Elway won't leave him in Milwaukee, because there's not even a fucking pro football team there. Here's to jeans, and here's to Vance. May you win us all many a Super Bowls and fit really nicely and comfortably. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Make sure you subscribe here. You gotta subscribe, and then follow me on Twitter at Brandon Perna so we can talk football, Twitter talk. It's really the best way to talk football. Use my promo code That's Good at CW Hemp for 10% off of your Charlotte's Web hemp oil. And as always, check out my friends at the Mile High Report for Mile High reporting of Broncos reporting blog stuff.